Okay, boys and girls, it's time for another project. Behind this bush on the right is our spigot, and we had a manual reel hose, garden hose, right here on the closer side of this downspout. I'll show you that in a second. But we're going to be out with the old, this is the old manual style, nice hose, nice fat hose, and that was the mounting plate. So this got mounted on the wall, and then these eared tabs slide in that. So you could take this off in the wintertime and go store it in your shed. Again, you always want to disconnect. I have frost-free valves. You always want to disconnect it from the valve so you don't have water sitting in there that can freeze. Even in North Carolina, we can get a freeze and it can do damage. So out with the old. This is the old, because I would have to be going under the tree and grabbing the handle, and it was tough. But I liked it tucked under there for curb appeal, for lack of a better word. But it was hard to wind. So we decided to get one of these new retractable ones. And it has its own mounting bracket. The way that this one works, similar kind of thing. There's just a slot there. So you mount this to the wall, and then you put your reel on top of it, and it just holds there. And this is nice because they pivot 180 degrees nowadays. The hoses aren't as nice. They're thinner. This is a 1/2 inch. One of the things I like about this particular model is it has this lid here that if you ever have a problem with the hose, you can completely take this hose out and replace it. I think this came with a 75-foot hose. And if you don't need 75 foot, you can use a bigger diameter hose. And as long as it's going to go through the roller and everything okay. It also has a lock button on the side so that you can lock it so it won't pull out. It has a handle if you want to pull it off and store it for the winter. And another nice feature on this particular one, on the bottom, that's your hose connector. And a lot of these new retractable reels have the hose built in, so you can't connect your own. And you could see from the distance I have here, most of them only give you a 4 or 5 foot hose connection, and I'm more like 8 feet. So I'm hoping to mount it so that I can still use the hose they gave me, which is over here. I don't know, this is probably about 6 feet, maybe 6.5. I'm hopeful that I can use that, but if I can't, I had another liter hose here, or maybe I'll sacrifice a piece of this and get it to the water source. So tool-wise, let me show you what I have here. The way I mounted this one was Tapcon screws. You can see this one was in the brick, and when I pull them out, you might be able to use these again, but I worry about the ribs of the threads getting worn down and not grabbing as well. So I'm not going to reuse this, but I basically had this up with just one on the diagonal of that, and it held fine, and it's been there for 5-6 years. Same thing with this. I'm going to use these Tapcon screws. These are 1/4 inch. And so for a 1/4 inch, you need a mortar bit. If you see the edge of that, it's got a little bit different point, so you can go in mortar. And this is a hammer drill, so you want to set it on hammer, and make sure you have your earplugs and your safety goggles. The other thing I want to show you, and I'm actually going to use one of the existing holes, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to mount this bracket. And what I did was I used one of the existing holes for this. So if you see here, this top left is a hole. But you see a mark here, a mark here, and a mark here. So that corresponds to all 4 of these holes. I basically put the Tapcon screw in, I anchored it, made it straight, and then I used this long marker. These are nice because it has a long standoff, so you can use this to get inside of that mounting bracket and then mark. So that's what I did for all 3 of this. So I have to drill 3 holes. I like the fact that this one's in mortar. sometimes the Tapcon grab a little better in mortar than they do in brick. But even if you got 2 or only 3 of the screws grabbing tight, you'll be fine with the weight of that retractable reel. So next I'm going to drill the 3 holes. Then I can mount this bracket. Then I'm pretty much done. Just hang this on there and then hook up the water line and see how it works. We've already kind of held it there and pulled it out, and it'll do well. It'll get all the way to the corner past that small tree. And again, the way it pivots, we can use it. It won't pivot past this edge, but we can pull it out straight to go pretty much coincide with the edge of the driveway, wash cars, etc. And it'll go all the way over to the other bushes over there. So it'll be a good improvement, and we won't have to climb under there and fight that manual reel. Maybe we can sell that for a couple bucks. The price of this particular model, it's called Sunny Day is the brand. It's spelled a little funny, and it was right at $100. But I'm seeing a lot of different models, so just have to figure out which model you want, how long, the diameter of the hose, etc. And then when after I drill the holes, these Tapcon screws, I like these with, it both has a slotted and a socket head. So you can just use a, I think it's a 5/16 head on there to drive those in and make it tight so that mounting bracket holds. And we should be good to go. Okay, here's the moment of truth. I have all 4 of those holes drilled. And of course, you always hope that they line up. And it's hard to see in there. But I'm going to get all 4 of these bolts started, and then I'll turn the camera on again. Let's see if they all line up. But it was a new Tapcon drill, so this drilled through really nice. It's certainly, you can try it with a regular drill, but the hammer drill works much better. And these went straight through within, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. I was done with the 3 holes I needed. So let me get this started and I'll reconvene video. Okay, so I was able to get these lined up. This one's the loosest one because that was the existing hole. You can always try to go one size bigger, but this is still even tightening up, so that's pretty good. And I like going slow with these with a ratchet. And you definitely want these to be driven all the way in. I gotta switch hands. I'm not nearly as good with my left hand. So now the video will be off. But these are so far tightening up nice. The reason you don't want these sticking out too much is then that mounting bracket might have problems mounting because you have the screws sticking out, not driven in all the way. Plus, you don't have as good of a anchor point. So now we have all of these, and these have a nice little flat head that actually matched up nice with the plastic bracket. So that is mounted and it's not going anywhere. So now all I have to do is just set the retractable reel on there and make sure we can have a connection to our hose behind here. Okay, I was able to mount this very easily. You can see that the Tapcons kind of poke through. That can just lift right off there. There's enough slot here, enough slop for the screw to come through. And that works just fine. So this is the main part that's holding it on. And it just slides behind here, but those mounting screws kind of don't hurt it hanging on there too. And I was able to make the connection with the existing hose. It's not a great, I'd like to have a little slack and it be laying on the ground, but it's just suspended, and that's the furthest it'll go that way. So it doesn't really pull it and create any tension. And if you'd move it this way, it gives a little more slack. So we got this sucker mounted. This one has a lock. Make sure it's unlocked. And now we can test it out and put the nozzle. Now you can see what I had to deal with. Not only did I have to worry about this tree hit me in the back, but I had to step over all these flowers. So it'll be a lot easier now. We could just grab this on the side, pull it out, let it stop to wherever you want. Water, whatever you want, we can go all the way over there. And then to retract it, just let it go back in. And it doesn't pull it too fast. And then you can adjust this stopper too. You can unscrew that and move it. Like let's say you want it hanging down here, then you can move this kind of like you do for sinks, for the weight. Almost looks like one of those weights you put on a sink, and you can have it stop. And actually you can even have it stop there, but the ball will be the positive stop. So that project's done. Out with the old. Now we'll have to see if somebody wants to give us 20 bucks or something for that and help offset the cost of the new. But I like that that kind of is tucked up under there. You can't really see it from the street view. All you see is the tree. And now we won't be breaking off leaves trying to reel the hose back in. So, all done. I guess I should have showed using it. This is the nozzle that they gave. It has the multiple settings on it. And I also like to put a stop here, because I'll leave the water on at the, you see I probably need a new washer here because it's dripping. But I like to put these shutoff valves on, because then I'll leave the water on at the house and have it shut off here. So in case the nozzle starts leaking or something, I have a positive shutoff ball valve here. So I definitely recommend those, putting on your hoses. But let's say I'm done watering and have this little lock on. All right, so I'm done. I turn this off. Again, I have a little bit of a leak here, but now you can see how far away I am. I actually have to get out into the street. Give it a little tug. And it starts reeling it in. One of the things advertised about this was it's a slow reel. It definitely wasn't yanking it out of my hand. So I like how that retracted. And you could see I was all the way down to the street down there. So other than replacing this one washer, I think we're good to go. Okay, just to prove to you that it was a washer and nothing wrong with this. You can see no drips, no leaks. And you may say, oh wait, John, how do I know you have the water on? All right, that's closed. So we will open that. Oh, still no water. Oh, that's because this has I use my old nozzle anyway. And there's the water. It's on shrub. That's why it looks so weird. So now you can tell it was just the washer. And I kind of wanted to do that anyway, to point out on the washer, this was the old washer. And you can see it's not torn, but it's definitely been crimped in such a way that the metal edge wasn't sitting in the middle of the washer. So it's way better just throw this away and get a new washer. Get a pack of them probably for $5, and then you don't have leaks. So now we'll go ahead and retract it one more time. Probably a good idea to grab the hose and not your nozzle when you're giving a tug on this, just in case. But you can see the reel is on like a slight angle here. Take that all the way in. You can have it stored flat against the wall so that when you're right here, you just reach over and grab it. If anything, 1 foot right there. So that was a good quick project. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and maybe invest in one of those yourself. It's definitely going to save a lot of time, and I'll be more likely to go out and give the birds some water in their bird bath right under there. They appreciate it. And water that far tree too, or the clematis up in the mailbox, or wash the cars. All right, have a good day, everyone.